Welcome back. Yes, the power's back. It, so since there's timestamps, and that's what I write in this book is timestamps, I'll give you guys a little bit of a story. So the power was restored here with about a half an hour to go before the games get started. See, Shadow's reporting for duty. And then the cable wouldn't work in here, so I had to actually watch the games in our rec room tonight rather than in here. But as soon as I moved to the rec room, the cable in here started working. So the cable's really weak in this room for whatever reason, so we're gonna get one of those boosters. But it's just one of those things I was like, yeah, of course. So I don't have enough time, and here we go. All right, that being said, let us go ahead, and that's what the timestamps are for. So for anybody's like, I don't know, this preamble, yeah, use the timestamps. They're right in the chapters of the video, right? All right, so starting off with Arizona and Pittsburgh. So for Coyote fans, you guys know the deal. You guys know this year is going to be another long year. For Penguins fans, this is a big year. You've got Crosby, Malkin, Letang. The boys are all back together again, right? Record long streak of 3 players being together on the same team. And it was Vejmelka versus Jarry in this one. Zucker has a rush chance that deflects out. And then at 1 minute and 22 seconds, Crosby from Gensel and Letang. So that didn't take long, and he blasted it on a rush opportunity. So it's 1-0 Pittsburgh. Penguins then get a power play. Crosby's denied. It's killed off, but as the power play ends, Zucker, he scores to make it 2-0 at 4 minutes and 12 seconds from Heinen and Petrie. We're not even 5 minutes into this game. The score is 2-0. I think Arizona had one shot at this point. And then the Penguins go right back to the power play, and at 5 minutes and 10 seconds, Gensel on the power play makes it 3-0 from Rustin Crosby. So Crosby with a goal and an assist in the first 5 minutes. That's how you make it look easy, right there. So the Penguins then get another power play. Rust's denied. Vejmelka holds. It's killed off, but the Penguins had a couple of prime opportunities that could have gone in, probably should have, and so they just missed there. So Petrie fires high as the Penguins press. The Coyotes then get a power play. That's killed off. There's some pushing and shoving after a hit by Ghost on Malkin. Kind of a submarine job, so power play for the Penguins. So that rolls over into the second period. The Coyotes do finish the kill. Heinen has a net feed that's blocked. Vejmelka is the reason this game's 3-0 at this point. The shots are 8-3 for the Penguins at 6 minutes. Coyotes had 7 shots halfway through the game. Yeah, and again, I expect to see a lot of nights like this for Arizona. They had a rough start to their season last year too, and then eventually they got it together and won some games, but this is how things start. We get a power play for the Coyotes. That's killed off, but they get another, and they score on it. It's Nick Ritchie from Gostisbehere and Mosier at 16-10. And the Coyotes had some momentum, but then at 19-11, Malkin scores from Crosby and Letang. So that's the end of that momentum, and it's 4-1 for Pittsburgh after 2. Third period, the shots are 3-2 for the Coyotes at 3.5 minutes, so they're not giving up. And they get themselves a power play, and they score on it. At 4:46, it's Ritchie with the second goal of the game, and the assists, Gostisbehere and Mosier. So why change a good thing? So the same scoring play on both goals. The Coyotes go back to the power play again. That one's killed off. The Pens then get a power play. That was also killed off. But then at 15:01, Rust makes sure there's no doubt with this one. He scores from Zucker and Pettersson. And then at 17:37, it's Kapanen scoring from Heinen. So Heinen with a couple of helpers tonight. And your final score is 6-2 for Pittsburgh. They win their home opener. And again, it feels like Arizona is going to be one of those teams that might hang around, and they're going to end up winning some games. They're going to be a spoiler. Your 3 stars are Crosby, Malkin, and Ritchie. So Nick Ritchie gets on the board despite them losing the game 6-2. The shots, 16-4 Pittsburgh in the first, 23-14 Pittsburgh in the second, and then 14-10 Pittsburgh in the third. Kind of even with shots there. Final shots, 53-28 for Pittsburgh. Power plays, 2 for 5 for Arizona, 2 for 6 for Pittsburgh. The hits, 35-30 for Arizona. So, I mean, plucky Coyotes team, right? Vejmelka saves 47 out of 53. Jarry saves 26 out of 28. And there you go. The Pittsburgh Penguins win this home opener, and the Coyotes, well, we knew what was going to happen. Philadelphia. This might have been the best game I've seen Philadelphia play in years. I'm not kidding. And it was Blackwood versus Hart. Both goaltenders looking to bounce back from not fantastic seasons last year and looking to prove that you know, one of them, maybe both of them will show that they're, you know, amongst the better young goaltenders in the league. Early jump was for the Devils. Then there's a post for Allison as the Flyers press. Lawton's denied. Then there's some pushing after that. Mercer has a rush chance. That ends up deflecting out. The Devils get a power play. The Flyers are shot blocking. They clear it out. It's killed off. There's 4 shots, but New Jersey goes back to the power play. They cycle. The Flyers clear, but eventually the Devils get on the board. And it's Holtz. I believe this is his first goal in the NHL. It's scored on the power play from Bratt and Mercer at 8:01. The lead doesn't last. We see Allison make it a 1-1 tie from Provorov and D'Angelo at 8:24, and he buried the rebound, and it's nice to see Allison on the board. Allison, who's gone through a lot of injury problems for years now, it'd be nice to see him healthy for Philadelphia. It could be one of those X-Factor type guys. The Devils and Holtz try to answer. Holtz had a very good first period. The Flyers get a power play. That's killed off. There's a press by the Flyers with 7 minutes left. The Devils get their third power play. That was killed off. And that was their final power play of the game as well. And then there's a post for James Van Riemsdyk, and we end up with 2 minutes of 4-on-4. But we roll into the second period with the score 1-1. Tippett not on the bench at the start of that period. Devils have the early jump. The Flyers get a power play. That's killed off. The Flyers press at 8 minutes. Howla has a rush chance. That's held. And then Konechny, he breaks the tie. So he scores from Hayes and Provorov at 10:39. So Provorov with a couple of helpers in his first game of the year. And then Morgan Frost, and this is another player that if Philadelphia's going to have a good year, he's got to be good. He scores from Lazinski and JVR. So Lazinski with his first point, 11:02. So those are 2 back-to-back goals very quick, right? So that makes it 3-1. Cates nearly added another on the next shift. So, yeah, Philly looked good tonight. Or New Jersey looked terrible. Depends how you look at it. D'Angelo has a chance. That deflects out. Things get kind of scrummy after a save by Hart. Then there's a near miss by Hughes, and Hart holds on to that. With 12 seconds left, there's a power play for the Flyers. So that rolls over into the third period. And in the third period, it is Konechny with his second goal of the game. So Konechny, another one. And again, last year we saw every Flyer basically have a bad year. And so that's not going to happen 2 years in a row. Not to everybody. Not to say the Flyers don't miss the playoffs, but at least seeing some guys have a bounce-back year is nice. So Konechny from Hayes and D'Angelo. That's D'Angelo's second assist of the game. Hayes' second assist of the game. And that's at 1:31. And that was a one-timer by Konechny. Just blasted it past Blackwood. Cates has a rush chance, then that's defended. The Devils press at 5.5 minutes, but the shots, 8.5 minutes in, are 8-2 in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, Severson does cut into the lead from Bratt at 9:26, and then the Devils have some momentum. They press for another. Bratt's denied from the slot. They pull the goaltender with 3.5 minutes left. Mercer's denied. And then it's Frost who hits the empty net at 18:01. That's his second goal of the game. And your final score is 5-2. The Flyers win their home opener. New Jersey loses their opening game of the year. Your 3 stars are Konechny, Provorov, and Hart. The shots, 10-8 New Jersey in the first, 15-8 New Jersey in the second, 12-9 New Jersey in the third. That's right, they outshot them the whole way. Final shots, 37-25 for New Jersey. Power plays, both teams 1 for 3. Hits, 28-18 for the Flyers. Blackwood saves 20 out of 24. And Carter Hart, 35 saves on 37 shots. Excellent night for Hart. We'll see if he can follow that up with another one. Consistency's been an issue with Hart, but if he can find that, they're in good shape, gotta say. All right, next up. Buffalo at home against Ottawa. Now, I wore a Buffalo jersey for the preview. I've decided with previews to live life on the edge and wear jerseys of teams that maybe they're not favored to win, and maybe they're a team below the playoff line, right? So it's Forsberg versus Anderson in this one, and Craig Anderson, man, what a game. And Rick Jenneret read the opening lineup for the Buffalo Sabres. I thought that was nice. They also had a nice tribute before the game as well, and so, yeah, Buffalo getting the fans into it, and a nice emotional moment there before the game gets started. Anderson's tested early, and he looks pretty good. So Ottawa tests him. They obviously know Craig Anderson. I actually, I say that, and then I think, how many of these Senators would actually be the same guys who played with Anderson? Probably not very many. A lot of turnover. So there's pushing after Anderson gets nudged. Just a little nudge. Not a big deal, but you got to let them know. You can't do that to our goaltender when he makes a save. Sens get a power play. There's a shorthanded chance for Tuck. That was held. They did kill off that power play. The shots are 6-2 for Ottawa at 6.5 minutes. Fans call a penalty. The ref doesn't. And then Tkachuk scores to open the scoring from Batherson and Brandstrom at 10-16. Really nice pass by Batherson and a very nice goal as well. DeBrincat was then denied from the slot. As you could feel, like Ottawa has a lot of momentum here. This was a very good first period for them. Peterka is denied on a fast break, and then Shabbat can't bury one in close. So it's 1-0 Ottawa after one, and they would have been expected to be the victors in this one, I would think. But we go to the second period. Sabres start on the power play. There's a penalty right at the end of the period against Ottawa. Sens shorthanded rushes definitely helped to kill that off. Cousins is denied after the kill, but then Peterka is not. He scores from Cousins at 4:31. Stützle nearly answers there as the German players having a one-upsmanship of one another there. And then DAL-NSH scores from Krebs on the rush at 7:25. Beautiful goal by Rasmus DAL-NSH. He may be in for a big year. Sabres get a power play. That was killed off. The Sens get a power play. Becomes a 5-on-3. There's a shorthanded rush chance for Mittelstadt. That's saved. They did manage to kill off that 5-on-3. The Sens press with 3.5 minutes left. The Sabres get a power play. And then we had 5 seconds of 4-on-4 towards the end of it, and that means that then there's a power play for the Sens. So we roll over to the third period with the score 2-1 in favor of the Buffalo Sabres. Shabbat foils a 2-on-1 for the Sabres. Really nice play by him, and you don't take the penalty there either. It makes it even nicer. The shots are 2-1 for Buffalo at 5 minutes. This is a Buffalo team that did not really give a lot of daylight to the Ottawa Senators at parts of the game where they would have a season ago. Sabres press at 8.5 minutes. The Sens press back, but they end up taking a penalty. So the Sabres get a power play. It's killed off, and the shots are even in the third. But again, for Buffalo, they don't care. They're ahead. Anderson was really becoming the story too, as Ottawa was pressing to try to get that tying goal. Tuck is denied as the Sabres press. They pull the goaltender with 1.5 minutes left, and at 19:18, Olofsson hits the empty net, and he enjoyed it so much he would hit it again at 19:33 from Lyubushkin. So 2 empty net goals make this a 3-goal game. Buffalo wins their home opener 4-1. There you go, Sabres fans. Your faith in your team has been restored, right? It's 1 game, right? Yeah, okay. 3 stars: Anderson, Peterka, and Olofsson. So Olofsson with 2 goals there gets into the 3 stars. They're both empty netters, but it's all fine. Shots in this one: 16-9 Ottawa in the first, and then 15-9 Buffalo in the second, 12-11 Buffalo in the third. Final shots were 36 each. Power plays, both teams go 0 for 4. The hits were 18-9 for Ottawa, so not an overly physical game. Forsberg saves 32 out of 34. He was very good, but Anderson saved 35 out of 36. So the upstaging was done by Craig Anderson against his former team, and so we'll see how this season goes for them. Next up, Florida. The Florida Panthers in against the New York Islanders. And it feels like Florida got kind of pulled into an Islanders game. And yeah, this looks a lot like the Islanders under Barry Trotz. So I was thinking, well, maybe it'll look different. Not really. So it's Bobrovsky versus Sorokin. They had a nice ceremony for the 50th year, their 50th season. I like the patches on the jerseys as well. I think those are nice. Early power play for the Panthers. That was killed off by the Islanders. They just allow the 1 shot. The Islanders press at 3.5 minutes. The fans call one as there's a scrum going on. Nothing happening there, though. The shots are 5-3 for the Islanders at 5 minutes. The Islanders get a power play. That leads to a shorthanded 3-on-1 for Florida. Tkachuk misses high during that. It's killed off. They never really got set up on that power play. Florida, really strong, aggressive penalty kill. Panthers press with 7 minutes left. Palmieri then had a wraparound opportunity for the Islanders that wouldn't go. 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Pajot has a rush chance that's held, and Dobson's denied in the final minute. So coming out of the first, it's a scoreless draw. Second period. Early Islanders press. Bobrovsky makes saves there. The Islanders were doing a good job too when the Panthers had it of holding them to the outside and not giving them really good chances at the net. We get a power play for the Panthers. Tkachuk had an opportunity right, and the puck's on the goal line. I don't know how it didn't go in, but it didn't. It was about as close as you can get, though. That's killed off. The shots are 4-2 for Florida at 6 minutes. Makes sense since they had that power play and all. Lundell then had a rush chance that deflects wide. The Islanders and Barzal, they press at 9 minutes. And I put Barzal up there because he was running that. It was one of those just monster plays by Barzal. He just doesn't get the payoff with a goal or an assist. Panthers go back to the power play. There's a near miss for Reinhart on that one. Shorthanded 2-on-1 then. Soshnikov couldn't bury on that opportunity. It's killed off, and the fans give him a nice ovation. So Islander fans appreciative of the penalty kill. There are fans of teams in this league who would like to see a really good penalty kill. Anyways, Luostarinen opens the scoring from Gudas and White at 12:45, and it looked like a nothing play. It's a turnover, and then it's in the net. Luostarinen just gets that tip, and it's in the net. So it's 1-0 Florida. The Panthers then get their 4th power play, which rolls over into the 3rd. There was 1 minute and 5 seconds left on that power play. So the Islanders hold them to the outside and do kill it off to stay within a goal. The Islanders draw a power play, and they score on it. It is Dobson. It's bar down. It's a nice play. And Nelson and Barzal with the assists at 3:13. So it's tied for 30 seconds. So it's Florida. It's the 3rd period. And it's a storyline we remember from last year. And it looks like we're going to keep it going this year. So at 3:43, Hornquist scores from Lomberg. That makes it a 2-1 game. Pelech then had a chance that was held. And there's some pushing after that. The Islanders kind of frustrated, and understandably, because they worked so hard to tie the game, and it stays tied for 30 seconds. That is a very Florida thing to have happen, dating back to the last couple of seasons. So there's a power play for the Panthers that led to a shorthanded rush for Cizikas. Bobrovsky comes out to defend it, and very lucky that puck that kind of ends up bouncing over him didn't end up going towards the net, and that there wasn't another Islander there, because he was not in the net for that one. So that's killed off. Palmieri's then denied. It's a good power play. Doesn't get a goal, though. The Islanders press with 4.5 minutes left. Goalie gets pulled with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. There's a turnover. Ekblad? Who's Ekblad? Ekblad has his stick break. And you would think that, okay, so now it's 5-on-3.5. Doesn't matter. Tkachuk ends up getting it. Gets the empty net goal at 18:45 to take all the tension out of this one. They pulled the goalie again to no avail. Your final score is 3-1 in favor of Florida. They're 1-0. The Islanders are 0-1 on the season. The 3 stars in this one, Luostarinen, Tkachuk, and Dobson. Shots were 16-10 Islanders in the first, 14-5 Florida in the second, and then 12-5 Islanders in the third. Final shots are 33-29 for the Isles. Power plays, Florida 0 for 5 and the Islanders 1 for 3. Hits were 37-15 for the Islanders. So they out-hit them badly. They won the special teams battles. Couldn't win the game. Bobrovsky saves 32 out of 33. He was excellent. Sorokin saves 26 out of 28. He was pretty good too. So pretty good goaltending matchup, which I think any of us could have predicted. I didn't really predict it though. I don't like doing predictions. And then we move on. Next game, Toronto at home against Washington. So everybody jumped off the bandwagon last night. I assume people have jumped back on. I haven't been on Twitter. So, we'll see. But it was Lindgren versus Samsonov. Early Jensen shot is held. Because remember, Samsonov was a Capital last year. So there's the possibility the Caps might know how to beat him. Spoiler alert, they don't. Caps get a power play. There's a shorthanded rush by Kerfoot. That's killed off. Not his rush, but the power play is killed off. The shots are 5-4 for Washington. 5 minutes into this one. The Leafs get a power play. Nylander's denied, but good pressure. And eventually they score. It's Tavares on the power play from Riley and Marner at 6:40. That's the 8th shot for the Leafs. The Caps were still at 5 shots to that point. Aston Reese is then denied on a turnover, but then a good press ends up leading to a goal for Washington. It's Dowd from Gustafsson and Van Riemsdyk at 9:59. And then the Capitals get a lead. It's Johansson or Johansson. I've heard it said both ways with him being back with the Caps, so sure, Johansson. We'll go with that. From Oshie and Eller at 13:51. Then the Leafs get a power play. That's killed off. Really strong power penalty kill by the Capitals. They only allow 1 shot against the Leafs. So they allow the goal in the first power play, not on the second. So we go to the second period. Early press by the Capitals. Carlson has a shot that's held, but then at 3:53, Toronto, they get one. It's Yarncroke from Kerfoot and Riley. He scores that one on a rush. Yarncroke, who had some struggles after being acquired by the Flames at the deadline last year, is fitting in pretty well with the Leafs. Didn't take him long to get that first goal. Shots are 3 apiece at 6 minutes. There's a power play then for the Leafs. Shorthanded rush by Kuznetsov, who had a very good penalty kill there tonight. Good cycle as it ends. The Caps then draw a power play. Ovechkin has a shot that's saved, and a good cycle for their power play as well. Power plays look pretty good to start the season. Sometimes it takes the penalty kill a little while to catch up. So that's killed off. There's 3 shots allowed. Hathaway then couldn't bury one on a turnover. So coming out of the second period, it's a 2-2 draw. Third period, Tavares has a rush shot that's held. The shots are 2-0 for the Leafs at 5 minutes, so no opportunities really for the Caps that hit the net. And then at 6:55, it's Matthews with a tip in front. Initially, it looked like it was Giordano's goal, but it's Matthews from Giordano and Sandin, and it's on a face-off win. So Marner, who kind of gets the third assist, he had the second assist on the Giordano goal from Sandin, so he gets wiped off the board. But nice play by Marner to get it all set up. Ovechkin then fires one wide as the Caps are doing their best to try to fight back and get the tying goal. There's a power play for Washington. Nice shorthanded rush by Marner. That was saved. Toronto does kill off that penalty. The Caps press with 8.5 minutes left. Riley then had an opportunity on a rush. He fired that one high and wide. 3:45 left. The Caps, they get themselves a power play. With 2:08 left, they call a timeout. They're up to 6-on-4 at this point, but that penalty is killed off. 2 shots allowed by Toronto, despite being down 2. And I mean 2 men, not 2 goals. 40.4 seconds left. A 4-minute high-sticking penalty on Marner, but there weren't any good chances for the Caps on the 6-on-4. So no harm, no foul. In the end, Toronto wins this one. They even the record at 1-1 with the 3-2 victory. The Caps drop to 0-2, so they lose back-to-back nights, and we'll see how they bounce back from this in their next one. The 3 stars in this one: Matthews, Tavares, and Dowd. Your shots, 21-11 in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first, 9 apiece in the second, 9-6 Toronto in the third. Final shots, 39-26 in favor of Toronto. Power plays, 0 for 5 for the Caps, 1 for 3 for Toronto. The hits, 37-33 for Toronto, so they can still hit. Simmons isn't in the lineup, but they're still throwing hits. Lindgren, 36 saves on 39 shots. He was good. And Samsonov was as well with 24 saves on 26 shots. So now Toronto fans can breathe a little easier. They're not off to an 0-2 start, and they had a nice victory tonight over the Caps. That being said, I need to change boards. All right. Next up, the New York Rangers annihilating the Minnesota Wild. This is I need a Cobra Kai magnet for this, don't I? Anyways, we'll get back into the Cobra Kai magnet soon enough. When it's the 5-game board, though, I don't really have a lot of room for them. Anyways, it's Shesterkin versus Fleury. And if you were nervous about Marc-Andre Fleury, thinking, is he past it? Tonight didn't help. So, early jump for the Wild. A near miss for Hartman. I thought Minnesota honestly played a really good game tonight. The score just doesn't show it. So, the Rangers get a power play and they score on it. It's Kreider, because, of course, Kreider scoring on the power play. That's just natural. From Zibanejad and Panarin at 4:06. So, the Rangers are going to have a very good power play again this year. Act surprised. The Rangers then forecheck for more, but the shots are 5-2 for Minnesota at 7 minutes. Power play then for Minnesota, and it's the Igor show, and it's killed off. The Rangers get a power play. That's unsuccessful, but at 16:03, Fox scores from Lafreniere and Panarin. So that makes it 2-0, and then at 19:47, on what was only the 8th shot of the game for the Rangers, they get their 3rd goal. This time it's Panarin from Lafreniere and Trocheck. So it's 3-0 Rangers after the first period. Second period, early Rangers power play. There's a shorthanded blast by Gaudreau. That's saved. That's killed off, and the Wild really needed to kill that off, because if they'd allowed another goal there, well, the night's over. So the Wild get a power play, and they score on theirs. Zuccarello scores from Kaprizov and Foligno at 7:45. Makes it 3-1. You get kind of hopeful if you're a Mini fan. Don't get hopeful for long. The Wild did go back to the power play. Then there's pushing after a hold on Eriksson Ek, because Eriksson Ek was poking at the goaltender. You just don't do that. So we have 1 minute and 22 seconds of 5-on-3. A lot of 5-on-3s tonight. And we get more pushing, and one of each goes to the box. So now you've got 3 Rangers in the box. You got one guy's got to stand because there's not enough room for everybody. And so that's all killed off. Really good penalty kill by the Rangers. And again, Shesterkin standing on his head. Hedl then makes it 4-1 from Fox and Gaudreau at 16:54. Buries a rebound, and that really quieted down the crowd. The Mini crowd really wanted something to cheer for. The Rangers said no. So third period, the Rangers press at 3 minutes. Eventually they get a goal. It's Trocheck, so he gets his first goal as a Ranger from Panarin at 4:18. Panarin had a pretty good game. The shots are only 2 apiece at 5 minutes. It's fine with the Rangers. They want to bring this one home. However, Boldy would score from Middleton at 5:16. He just buried that one in close. And it was an uncharacteristic turnover by Fox that led to it. So you have to take advantage of those. He doesn't turn it over often. Miller gets shaken up on a hit, but he would stay in the game. And then Kakko goes beast mode and gets a beautiful goal at 5:46. So don't be surprised when Kakko has a good year. And that's only 30 seconds after Minnesota brought the fans back to life. Then Kakko stomps that out. Boldy, though, would get one at 6:20. So we've got 3 goals in 1 minute and 4 seconds. He scores that one from Dumba. The Rangers, though, then get a power play. It's killed off, just the one shot. However, that takes 2 minutes off the clock, right? We had a fight between Reeves and Foligno. It was a pretty good fight. And then Kreider scores from Miller and Zibanejad at 14:07. That makes it 7-3, and then Dean Evison pulls the goaltender because he's Dean Evison. This is what he does. It's bonkers. You're down by 4. What are you doing? And then on the next whistle, he just put Fleury back in. It's a Dean Evison thing. So the Rangers get a power play with 3:38 left. It's killed off, but now you're down to just 1.5 minutes left. You're down by 4, and that's your final score. The Rangers have to be very happy with their game right now. They win 7-3. They go to 2-0 on the season. Minnesota loses to go to 0-1. And again, if you had any concerns with Minnesota, tonight did not allay any of those fears or concerns. 3 stars, Panarin, Fox, and Boldy. Boldy, the lone bright light tonight, I think, for Minnesota. The shots, 15-8 for Minnesota in the first, 15-13 Minnesota in the second, and then in the third, the shots are 14-6 for the Rangers as they locked it down. Final shots are 36-35 for Minnesota. Power plays, the Rangers 1 for 5, Minnesota 1 for 4. Hits, 27-20 for the Rangers. Shesterkin, 33 saves on 36 shots. Fleury, 28 saves on 35 shots. So an 800 save percentage. We'll see if Fleury bounces back next game and when he gets that next game. Next up, Dallas and the Nashville Preds. Now, you're going to notice that this Stars-Predators game has the least amount of notes. There's a reason. It was slow in parts. So it was Ottinger versus Saros, early jump for the Preds, but on a breakaway with the first shot, Marchment. This is how you make your debut. He scores from Sagan at 2:31. The shots are 4-1 for the Stars at 5 minutes. Nashville, slow start to the game. They would pick it up, though. And they pressed, but they're kept to the outside when they get that pressure. Power play then for Nashville. That's killed off. The Stars get a power play. That was killed off as well. Just the one shot allowed by Nashville. There was the game, I want to say 2 seasons ago, where Dallas and Nashville had ridiculous power play numbers, but not tonight. So, 1:57 left. The Stars go back to the power play. Robertson has a shot that's held, but Marchment gets his second goal of the period, this one on the power play, from Lundqvist and Sagan at 18:56. So Nils Lundqvist on the board. He's got to feel happy to be a Star. It's 2-0 Dallas after 1. Second period, Carrier has a rush chance that's saved. The first 3 shots go to the Preds, and they were the sharper team to start out. Then we have a long stretch without a shot. Things get pushy after a hold by Saros. It was Marchment that was causing that front of the net too, because his last name is Marchment. He has to. It's required. Marchment then gets hit, and that gives the Stars a power play. So Marchment's out there doing his shift disturbing and draws a power play for Dallas. That's killed off, and then the Predators had some pressure after. Predators get a power play. That's killed off. Hintz is then denied on a net drive, but in the final minute of the period, Pavelski scores from Hintz and Robertson at 19:09. So it's 3-0 Dallas after 2. Third period, Preds get another power play, and this is where I became aware that the announcers were really rooting for a Nashville comeback, and I'm not sure why that is, but they were really rooting for it. Stars didn't let them set up. There's a shorthanded rush by Hintz, and that ends up drawing a penalty to make it a 4-on-4. The Preds didn't let the Stars set up initially, but Wyatt Johnston gets his first NHL goal on the power play from Sagan and Suter at 4:22. So Tyler Sagan with 3 assists tonight. That's what we want to see as Dallas fans, right? But Johansson would answer 30 seconds later. So he scores from Tolvin at a 4:53, and this is when the answer's like, see, here we go. And okay. And that did wake up the crowd. The crowd really got into it at that point. Preds get a power play, but that's killed off. Then Marchment on a 2-on-1. He had a near miss there as he was going for the hat trick. And then this is where, so we've talked about board ads. There is a board ad that I will agree with everybody is distracting. It's the Enterprise one that shows a car actually in motion, and it makes it look like there's a car in the corner, and it's very distracting. The board ads, it's fine if they change. They shouldn't move. That's my opinion. They shouldn't move. That causes your eye to be distracted by the boards. That shouldn't happen. 1:51 left. Hakanpää takes his second penalty of the game. And that's where Nashville calls a timeout, pulls the goaltender. They are unable to generate the necessary offense, and goals to tie it up. Your final score is 4-1. Dallas wins on the road. Nashville drops to 2-1. So your 3 stars are Marchment, Seguin, and Ottinger. The shots, 12-9 Dallas in the first, 11-10 Nashville in the second, and then 12-7 Nashville in the third. Final shots were actually 32-29 for Nashville. A couple seasons ago, if Nashville outshoots the opposition, they lose. If they get outshot, they win. Are we headed for another one of those years? Power plays 2 for 4 for Dallas, 0 for 5 for Nashville. Hits 45-30 for Nashville. Very heavy hitting game. Ottinger, 31 saves on 32 shots. Saros, not very Saros-like numbers with 25 saves on 29 shots. So yeah, Dallas wins on the road. Next up, Calgary. Big home opener against Colorado, who were on the road after a win last night against Chicago. It was Francouz versus Markstrom. We have early jump for Calgary, but then we had 2 minutes of 4-on-4. And on the first shot Colorado gets, it goes in the net. It's Byram from Taves and McKinnon at 139. So Byram on the board with a goal early in the season. That's good news if you're an Avalanche fan. Girard then had a near miss on a rush, almost made it 2-0. But the shots on net at 6.5 minutes are 6-1 for the Calgary Flames. Cogliano then had a rush chance that saved. And then it's Brett Ritchie. He scores from Lucic and Weegar at 11:23. So Brett Ritchie with the first goal of the year for Calgary. Probably would have won some money if you'd bet on that. But I don't bet, and I don't recommend other people do either, because there's a reason it's a long shot bet. Lindholm then had a rush chance. That's fired wide. The Flames get a power play. That's unsuccessful. With 154 left, the Flames get another power play. Also unsuccessful. The 6 seconds roll into the second. You know they're not scoring in the first 6 seconds of the period. The Avs end up getting an early power play after that. The Flames hit. They clear it, and eventually they score shorthanded. It's Dubé from Mangiapane at 2:31. Great play by Mangiapane to get it to Dubé, and he buries it. Then there's a shorthanded 2-on-1. Or no, that's the shorthanded 2-on-1, and then they finish the kill, just the one shot allowed to the Colorado Avalanche. The Flames press at 4 minutes. We then get more pressure by Calgary as they're controlling later on in the period as well. Shots are 4-1 in their favor at 8 minutes. So they're doing a good job of basically making sure the Avs aren't hurting them at this point. Rodriguez then had a tip chance. That was held. Dubé was denied on a rush opportunity. The Avs get a power play, Tanev shot blocking, and Rantanen with an uncharacteristic miss in front of the net. Then there's a shorthanded Mangiapane rush. That was held. And then Rasmus Andersson out of the box. So they kill it off, and out of the box, Andersson was spotted by Weegar, and at 14:52 buries it. So that makes it 3-1 in favor of the Flames. Then the Avs press with 2.5 minutes left. They really woke up down 3-1. Last minute, there's a press by the Flames, though, and puts them back on the power play. So that rolls over into the third, and the Flames score during that in the third period. So these power plays that straddle periods tonight, they were pretty successful. Toffoli scores from Kadri and Anderson. So there's Kadri's first point as a Flame, and that's scored at 1:12. Really nice cycle, really nice goal. This power play is going to be pretty lethal for Calgary this year. And the Flames go right back to the power play, and guess what? They score again. This time it's Lindholm from Huberdeau at 2:37, and it was a filthy pass by Huberdeau. And he said he's going to get Lindholm to 50. Well, Lindholm right now is on a pace for 82. So there you go. So as great as that was, it's less than a minute later, McKinnon gets a feed from Francouz, and he scores at 3:08 on a fast break. So he gets the breakaway, scores, and quieted the crowd just a little bit, because we know this is the Colorado Avalanche. We know how dangerous they are. Avs get a power play. That's killed off, though. No shots. Then there's too many Flames on the ice. The Avs get a power play. Too many men on the ice happens a lot early in the season. Absolutely, to almost every team. And they make them pay. It's Nichushkin from Rantanen at 11:01. So Nichushkin continues his really strong start, which started last night with a couple goals, and he gets one tonight. And this is where the crowd gets kind of quiet, because it's like, okay, we've seen this. We know what can happen here. So even though the score is at this point just 5-3, there's that nervousness in the crowd with this, that one more goal would make us feel pretty iffy here. So anyway, and I get it, right? So the goalie gets pulled with 2.5 minutes left. The Avs call a timeout with 1:32 left, but then Lehkonen takes a penalty in the final minute, and that ends the game. Your final score is 5-3 for Calgary. They go to 1-0, and of course Colorado drops to 1-1 on the season. The 82-0 dream is over if you're Colorado. 3 stars, Weegar, who looked great, Dubé, and Anderson. So 2 defensemen in the 3 stars for Calgary. Shots 14-3 Calgary in the first. They were the sharper team. But then in the second, it's 10-8 Colorado, and in the third, 12-5 Colorado. So Colorado had a good third, but the score was tied in the third, 2-2. Final shots, 27-25 Calgary. Power plays, Colorado 1 for 4, Calgary 2 for 5. So Colorado's penalty kill was so not great against Chicago, not great here. It is something they're going to have to work on. Hits, 26-17 Calgary. Francouz, 22 saves on 27 shots. Markstrom saves 22 out of 25. And saved 21 out of, or 22 out of 24 after allowing a goal in that first shot. So he recovered pretty well from that. All right, moving along. Next up, Chicago. So the Hawks coming off of a loss against Colorado, where they looked overmatched for most of the game. Tonight was kind of a different story in the first. In the first. So it's Stalock versus Thompson. Stalock, good game for him. Early chances for Vegas. Cotter tips one wide on a rush. I think Paul Cotter had his best NHL game tonight. Taves had a rush chance. That was defended. Colasar and Roy couldn't bury one right at the net. Vegas presses at 7.5 minutes, but they don't get shots out of it. So they have the pressure, they have the cycle, they can't get a shot on the net. The shots halfway through the period are 5 each. Chicago came out to play. Reese Johnson's denied. Thompson holds on that. Pretty evenly played first 15 minutes, and really honestly pretty evenly played throughout that first period. Cotter has a shot that's blocked by Roos. Roos, I thought, looked good for Chicago. Final minute, the Hawks get a power play. So that rolls over into the second period. Vegas did finish off that kill. The Hawks press after it ends. Eichel has a net feed. That's blocked. Marchessault couldn't bury one on a rush. The Hawks get a power play. Seth Jones has a shot that's held. The power play is unsuccessful. And then Cotter would score out of the box. So another goal out of the box tonight. He scores from White Cloud at 8:44. Then the Hawks pressed to answer. So the Hawks didn't give up. They had a lot of fight in them tonight. Howden then had a shot that was blocked. Vegas with some pressure there. Stone and Stevenson are then denied by Stalock. Vegas was starting to take over at this point in the game. They're the better team. We know this. Stevenson nearly buries one with 2:47 left. Vegas gets themselves a power play. Roy's denied. Nice toe save by Stalock. He just stretches out, does the splits, and his toe makes the save there. That's killed off. 2 shots allowed. The shots are 10-0 for Vegas in the final 8 minutes and 22 seconds of the second period. Yeah, we're taking over. So third period, early Vegas power play. Chicago does kill that off. Stalock holds as Vegas is pressing. Jack Johnson has a blast that's held at the other end by Thompson. And both goalies were very good in this one. Pushing after a hold by Thompson. The shots are 5-4 for the Hawks at 8 minutes. Marchessault has a rush chance that's saved. The Hawks press. 9 minutes left. They're getting some opportunities here. But with 7:45 left, or 7:58 left, I should say, there's a power play for Vegas. So that really hurts Chicago's chances of coming back. Carlson has a shot that's held. Chicago did kill that off. Athanasiou then had a net feed that was blocked. They would pull the goaltender in the final 2 minutes. They could not generate the tying goal. Your final score is 1-0, so Vegas goes to 2-0. Chicago drops to 0-2. Your 3 stars are Thompson, Cotter, and Stalock. That's how a 1-0 shutout works. Both goalies should be the top 3 stars, and the goal scorer should be one of the 3 stars too, in whatever order. Your shots, 10-9 Chicago in the first, 18-8 Vegas in the second, and then 10-9 Vegas in the third. Yeah, Chicago hung around. Final shots, 37-27 Vegas. Power plays 0-2 for Chicago, 0-3 for Vegas. Your hits, 41-20 for Chicago. Stalock saves 36 out of 37. Thompson saves all 27 shots for his second career shutout. This is the kind of game you want if you're a Hawks fan. They play well. There was a lot of good hard work going on out there, and they lose to give you a better chance at that top draft pick. So yeah, for Vegas, good game, and they're off to a pretty decent start. All right, last game of the night, Seattle and LA. This is how feuds get started. This is how, and last year it didn't feel like Seattle really got any like nasty feuds because they weren't winning games. There wasn't really a series last year between themselves and another team in the regular season. You said, man, I can't wait for the next game between Seattle and insert name a team here. So Seattle, decent couple of games to start the season. It was Jones versus Quick, early power play for the Kraken. The Kings are clearing, they're blocking, and then kind of out of nowhere, it's a power play goal. It is Schwartz. That is the power play marker, right? Yes, it is. I didn't mark it as a power play marker, but it is, at 5:21 from Eberle and Burakovsky, and Schwartz just buries the rebound. So I'm like, I got to put my Schwartz jersey on. Kings try to answer. They get themselves a power play. It takes 4 seconds. Alex Iafallo buries one at 7 minutes and 43 seconds. The Kings then get another power play. That was unsuccessful. Schwartz has a rush chance. That ends up deflecting out. Seattle scores, but it's a high stick. So if your stick is above the crossbar, it's no goal, which is where it was. If your stick is above your shoulders, it's no goal. And it doesn't have to be both. It can be one or the other. No goal. So, and Seattle didn't fight about that. So it's 1-1 after one. Second period. Odd man rushes both ways. So both goaltenders having to be sharp, but probably both coaches going nuts at this point. Kings press at 3.5 minutes. Iafallo's denied and close. And then Tanev scores from Borgen at 6:08. The Kraken then get a power play. So now they're up. They're on the road. They've got a power play. Dunn fires one wide. Seattle cycles. And then 2 seconds after the power play ends, Wenberg scores from Beniers and Bjorkstrand at 13:08. There's Beniers on the board again. And so, yeah, it is 3-1 for Seattle at this point in the game. I'm as surprised as you are. 4:23 left. The Kings get a power play. That's killed off. Beniers is denied and close. Then Fiala is denied. Jones holds on to that. We're going to the third period with Seattle up 3-1. This is where it's an early season test. We talk about how this doesn't matter. This is early season. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the comments who are going to say, I don't care. Early season, doesn't matter. But last year, Seattle had a hard time controlling games and holding leads. And no leads seemed to be safe with this team. They seemed fragile. Tonight seemed to be different. Third period, early saves by Jones. That's the first part where it's different, is that they were getting those saves when they needed them. Kempe has a rush chance that deflects out. The shots are 5-3 for Seattle at 4.5 minutes. So they're playing well and they're not allowing as many shots as they're getting. Big recipe for success right there. Seattle gets a power play, but 26 seconds later, it becomes a 4-on-4. The Kraken control most of that 4-on-4, however. Then after that's all done, everything's killed off. At the half, the Kings get some pressure of their own. Another Kraken power play, and then it becomes 1 minute and 55 seconds of 5-on-3. This is your key moment of the game, right? It's a 5-on-3. They're up by 2 goals. It's 1 minute and 55 seconds. But they killed it off. The Kings killed it off. And I believe there was only one shot during that 5-on-3 for Seattle. So this is where that doubt starts to creep in of, so could Seattle blow this? Bjorkstrand fires one wide on a 2-on-1. The Kings press with 5 minutes left. We had 5+ minutes without a whistle. That favors the team that's got the lead, of course. So Seattle loves to see that clock ticking down. With 3:02 left, the Kings pull the goaltender. And then at 2 minutes, or with 2:33 left, it becomes a 6-on-4 as Seattle takes a penalty. Now a 6-on-4, not the end of the world, because it means you can ice the puck. You don't have to worry about icing, right? However, if you get an empty net goal, it's also a shorthanded goal, and that's what Adam Larsson does at 18:59 to make it 4-1 for Seattle, and to erase any doubt about whether or not Seattle's going to be able to hold this lead. So the Kings had chances, and Alexiak was an absolute beast during that penalty kill, shot blocking, throwing the body, and just playing really, really well. We then had a fight between Gord and Lemieux, or if you watched it, it was more like Gord holding on while Lemieux tried to tool him. So I don't think that made Seattle players happy. I don't think it made them happy at all, because then things get kind of punchy at the horn. Now, the 3 stars were not available to me at the time that I put this on the board, because when LA loses at home, the 3 stars come in late. I don't know why that is. Burakovsky, Iafallo, and Jones are the 3 stars in this one. Really? Not Tanev? Anyway, so those are your 3 stars. The shots in this one, 8-7 for LA in the first, 9-6 LA in the second, and 12-9 LA in the third. Final shots, 29-22 for LA. Power plays, 1 for 6 for Seattle, 1 for 5 for LA. Hits, 43-28 for Seattle. Jones saves 28 out of 29. That's the kind of goaltending Seattle's been needing. They've got it. And Quick saves 18 out of 21. So the Kings are 0-2. Now, there's no need to panic for the Kings because they started last season 1-5-1. But you don't want to be doing that too often. So we'll see how LA does in their next game. But for Seattle, yeah, they've got 3 out of 4 points to start the season. They have to be pretty happy with the start right now. This is a team that looks like they should be better than last year. And I said before the season started, that they'd be better than last year. But that's not a brave prediction because they only had 60 points last year. So they were only like 5 points out of last overall. It's not a brave prediction to say they'll be better than 5 points out of last overall this year. And so there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.